Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Season 3, Episode 1 of The Nest. Welcome back to it, back in the original Nest. Mr. Panchella here, once again, my cohort. I guess that's an overused term these days, but cohort, best buddy, co-host of the Nest. We got Mr. Kirshner producing this, back behind the scenes there, always doing a great job. We've moved from Morrell's Ironworks back to the high school, so that's a step in the right direction, Mr. Panchella, and super excited and jacked up to bring the third installation of The Nest.
I couldn't agree more. I'm hoping our listeners need this as much as I needed something like this. Just prepping for this, being able to pop up the past few weeks at the high school has been a real treat for me as well, and it gives me a sense of normalcy, especially in a year where I've made some significant changes and made some moves. It feels good to be back around these halls and walking around and bumping into some students and basketball getting underway and seeing that going on and small groups in the weight room. It's an interesting time, but still an exciting time.
Yeah, and a great opportunity for us to, we're living through change in a lot of ways right now. You've lived through some massive changes to your career since we left season 2, and we want to welcome in your new audience as you took the role of phys ed teacher at West Deptford Middle School and stepped away from your athletic trainer duties here at the high school. Continued to coach this fall, but the most exciting piece of this thing is that you are bringing in an entirely new audience to the Nest, and someone that now we created a pipeline now, right? So now you're connecting to those 5th through 8th graders down there and those families, and we're trying to get them locked in to what we're all about up here at the high school. So congratulations on your new role.
Thank you very much.
How's it going?
Not too bad. And like you said, I think the most exciting thing for me, truly, and I think those people that do know me well know that I mean this from the heart, that ability to try to give them a little piece of what the high school gave me over the last 7 years and bring some of that intensity while also adopting, the tradition that the middle school has and bringing all that together. I see this as an opportunity. Obviously, in a pandemic, it's made it a little slower, but I do think we'll see some significant strides with some of these students as I get to know them, and we're able to do some things together as a middle school and a high school and continue to bring those two groups together.
Yeah, and that's the awesome part of this thing. Is this about sports and recognizing our kids? Absolutely, 100%. But is it also about spreading a message and trying to, I don't want to say brainwash our kids, but is it trying to send a message of what West Deptford is all about? Absolutely, 100%. And we miss you for sure up here. I mean, there's no doubt about that. You were on the football staff this year, so you didn't travel far from the Nest before coming back. And we also want to throw a big shout out to our new athletic trainer, Gabby Prendergast, who joined us from those people down the road there in Paulsboro. We stole her from them, and she's done a phenomenal job trying to pick up where you left off. And she's definitely an outstanding fit here in green and white.
Been blown away by what she's done already. Again, to come in as an athletic trainer where your responsibilities have increased during COVID, to see her handle everything, get approved in August and she's ready to go, covering everything that she can. The relationship that Gabby and I have has been a real treat for me as well. It's not like she's pushed Joe out of the way. She's invited me in and seeks assistance, and now I seek the same from her. She's very intelligent, and I think our students, as they get to know her and understand her, they'll see how great she is, and I'm hoping the same thing at the middle school. I've gotten to meet kids for the couple weeks we were in for hybrid. We're going back to hybrid on Tuesday, so I'm looking forward to connecting with more students, but it's like you need that time to develop relationships and see what you can really be. Right now, I've got grades 5 through 8 who don't really know Mr. Panchella. They've heard of this guy, Joe, at the high school, and now Mr. Panchella comes into the middle school. But I'm also looking forward to the opportunity to getting to know my coworkers and the administration a little bit more. I've had a few in-service days and this and that, but it's all still really new and confusing as it is for the kids at home. And just know that I'm feeling that as well. To end my athletic training run with a spring season being canceled and our winter playoffs being canceled, to not really being involved that much from March through June, but then to jump back in July and see how the high schoolers responded and wanted to get after it, that'll keep you coming back for more, and why I want to continue to get involved with athletics at the high school and at the middle school. I know we've talked about it before, and I've been approved as a volunteer to help out with the middle school wrestling program with head coach Jimmer Shields. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to. They have also expanded middle school wrestling to the 5th graders as well. This will be the first year ever. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what my recruiting looks like. Awesome. and teaching some stance and getting after those 5th graders and seeing if we can't continue a really, really tough tradition of West Deptford wrestling moving through this pipeline.
Well, I guess what's going to have to happen is we're going to have a couple episodes where we start doing a prepare for West Deptford High School versus West Deptford Middle School wrestling match.
Absolutely.
Down the road there.
And
who's the toughest in the middle school and the high school? That's what's going to come down to.
I love it. And I'm also looking forward to, and I think it's something we will continue to include, is covering some of these middle school events as well and getting to know some of the students in those ranks and what they do and how they operate and giving them some recognition as well. Again, sports are what we live for. Sports is what we know. So really looking forward to that opportunity to spreading some of that knowledge to our high schoolers about some of these up and coming middle schoolers.
And how about how much, as we transition in, we're going to spend episode 1 recapping the fall of 2020 and our COVID fall. And, how about just the fact that we get to talk about it and reflect on this? Like that in itself, going back to last spring when the devastation set in that we were going to lose an entire season, and now to be able to reflect on the season that we actually got to have. I don't care what it looked like or how it had to get done. The fact is we got it done. And I don't know that there's a school that got it done better than West Deptford did this past fall, which is a credit not only to our student athletes and our coaching staffs, but to the community as a whole, who jumped in with both feet and said, whatever you need us to do to give our kids the opportunity to get out there for their social, emotional well-being and to do the things that they love, we're going to do it. And that's what they did.
I think it was the most united West Deptford I've seen in my 8 years here. And I'm with you. I think you took the words right out of my mouth in terms of I could look at this whole list and we could have went 0-150 this fall. And it wouldn't have mattered in terms of it
kind of would have mattered.
Well, I mean, with the way our kids pride themselves and our coaches pride themselves and even our parents and community, it would have never happened. But at the same time, just the ability to get out there and do something. Yeah, was it perfect? No. Did you get all the fans you wanted and all the people you wanted there and all that? No. But you had an opportunity to compete. And to me, that's everything. If you lose that, you start to lose who you are and what we're meant to do as human beings.
And how about WDTV led by Mr. Kirshner and the staff that he put together of our students and being able to find a way. Talk about IAO. We've talked about IAO before, Improvise, Adapt, Overcome. No group did it better than WDTV, who was able to live stream and bring almost every single event that we had in the fall home to our fans and spectators and parents that were not allowed to be at the games or competitions. And the hundreds upon hundreds of hours and investment of just putting together a first-class operation. And they certainly don't get the respect that they deserve, the pat on the back that they deserve, the acknowledgement that they deserve. And now as we work into the wintertime where there are no spectators, you see everybody trying to play catch-up to what, Mr. Kirshner and his group have already done. And try to. And I can't tell you how many emails and conversations I had. How are you guys doing this? So huge kudos to the man back there behind the desk, Mr. Kirshner, on his vision and his determination to bring the events home to our watchers and spectators.
It's just unbelievable, and I wouldn't call out other schools, but I watched some live streams from some other schools when our West Deptford teams were playing. And the comparison, there was none. It wasn't even as enjoyable to watch, but to have scores up there, to have people commentating who know about the kids, who have knowledge of the sport, to share their wealth of knowledge as well. It was as close to a professional broadcast as you could have had. And I know the kids that they really saw that and they really appreciated that. I know sometimes we look at middle school and high school students as if they don't appreciate it, but those kids, they did. And I think that's part of why they showed up, that they knew they were getting viewers that maybe they wouldn't normally have. And it meant a whole lot to them. So just an unbelievable job by Mr. Kirshner and the whole entire crew.
Brian Gallagher, Jaylee Barcaro, Sean Fleming, to name a few, just you talk about what it means and the investment of the kids and whether or not they really love their school and what it stands for. I mean, those kids took so much time out of their own lives. They could have been doing, other things that didn't take as much commitment and effort and attention to detail and sacrifice. And they did it. They made, those kids made a lot of people in their community really proud, really happy, and they deserve a ton of credit and recognition. So thank you to that group. Now let's roll right into the fall recap. We'll bang this out about 2 minutes per team here. Yep. We got a lot to talk about. Let's kick it off with cross country and Coach Mark Drummond, and they did not disappoint.
No, they did not. For a group that, you didn't know how you were going to train all summer, they found ways to get their workouts in, from captain's practices to regular coaches' practices. And boy, did they deliver on both the boys and girls side this year. And what a season for the cross-country program. Boys cross-country, second in the conference, second in Gloucester County. We had some pretty impressive accolades, right? We had Jake Cobb break the West Deptford Park course record.
Yep.
Also took home first team All-South Jersey honors.
Phenomenal honor.
Just unbelievable. We'd also like to recognize senior Zach Rhoda, second team All-Conference, and Zach Asaro, also second team All-Conference, who put in a lot of work coming up through the cross-country ranks. He
Only
is
a sophomore.
Welcome addition to the team. He battled through some stuff as a freshman, so to see him respond in a pandemic year, I know that's exciting for the program. And again, Jake Cobb is back for another year, yep, along with some other talented runners. So
we're one of the best in South Jersey next year, I think so. On the girls' side, how about a Patriot Division Championship, a Colonial Conference Patriot Division Championship? First time in it's got to be 3 or 4 decades that we've even scratched the surface of a championship, led by a very strong group of seniors who just absolutely put it on the line this year. Corinne Dorset, Hope Signer, and Aubrey Hlubb all earning first-team all-conference honors, along with Guadalupe Santos with a second-team honor. We talk about grit, which we talk about a lot, and just being able to grind. I think that this girls cross-country team was a great example of what you can do when you just bear down and grind it out. And that's what they did, and to bring home a championship in cross-country for our girls team is an incredibly special feat that it's going to be hard to replicate that down the road, really will.
And I hope for our eighth graders and some students who aren't involved in fall sports that, some female athletes are looking at that. There's some opportunities. There's some opportunities to compete. You may not think you like to run or running isn't for you, but have you came out and tried it and see what that's all about and see what those meets look like, I think you'd have a greater appreciation for what that team did year in and year out. They were talking about, can we get 5 girls out there just to put together a full team?
Yep.
And really nice to see it all come together in this year.
And I want to wrap cross country with it was the day after the regular football season ends in the NFL. It's called Black Monday because a bunch of the head coaches get fired that day or resign or leave, and we had you talk about a dark day in not a bad way, because obviously we look forward to each of our coaches who's moving on, having a great career in life and whatever they're doing next. But Coach Drummond was the first of 3 of our fall coaches who will be stepping aside, who stepped aside at the end of the year, and a West Deptford alum on his second tour of duty with us as head coach, and really bringing the program along and putting it certainly at the forefront of Colonial Conference and Gloucester County cross country. So Coach Drummond moving on to spend a lot of time with his family. He's got kids that are getting older in that age where they're doing a lot of stuff that he wants to be a part of, and who could blame him for that? So I want to thank Coach Drummond and Coach Burke, his assistant coach, for their commitment and dedication to the cross-country program and for finishing so strong and just making sure that we're operating on a first-class level. So thanks a lot, Coach Drummond. Much appreciated.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Coach Drummond, and way to go out with a bang and give the kids everything you had when you could have just packed it in and took it easy this year and stepping away from it, but you gave everything you had, and the results showed.
Moving on to girls tennis, and you talk about a legend of a human being in head coach Mike Seeley, who also will be stepping away for at the end of the season. He stepped away from girls tennis, and Mike Seeley has as big of an impact on this building as anybody in it, and it is a unbelievable loss to to lose him in our coaching ranks. I'm sure he will be keeping close tabs on everything going on, and he'll be very involved in the school still. But just the way that Coach Seeley has built this girls tennis program to have year after year of 40-plus girls on the team, to be one of the most competitive teams, not only in the Colonial Conference, but in South Jersey, and just representing everything that this athletic department represents in terms of developing the whole student athlete. There is nobody better. And they finished the season, this year at 5-9, as Coach Seeley said, in a year with every excuse not to be committed, we found ourselves with almost 40 girls ready to go day in and day out. And that's something that we'll always be proud of. And I don't know if Coach Seeley realizes the impact that he has had on his student athletes or our athletic department, but that girls tennis team embodied what he was all about.
You know how I feel about Coach Seeley. He's one of a kind, and what he did in that program, and even as I came into this high school and got to know him, the way the girls connect with each other. These girls come from all different walks of life, from the best athlete to the worst athlete. And they all come together and they all support each other. They want to see each other succeed. You know, in tennis, you have to play challenge matches against your teammates. You have to battle day in and day out to earn a spot. And he constantly and continually brought that group closer and closer, even when things got tough. And I mean, to cap it off, let's talk about that playoff win over Delsey, down 0-2 in the match, and to rattle off some tiebreaker points and win that match 3-2 speaks to the grit and grind of that team, but also that they look at Coach Seeley as someone who never, ever shies away from the moment or lets them down. And I think that was girls didn't know it at that time, but that was a big thank you to Coach Seeley for what he has done. And there was a quote he had put in his end of season report that said, "We might lose matches where our opponents are better than us, but we will never lose a match where our opponents are willing to outwork us."
Yeah.
I mean, the message that he sends in terms of effort, I don't care how skilled you are, but your effort, he got that 100% of the time.
Absolutely. And that's when they go on the road, that was the number 5 going to the number 4. And I'll never forget the text messages flying in when we're out on the practice field. And it's like, down 0-2, coming back 2-2, down 3-2. It was one of the best. That Delsey win was one of the top 5 wins for any fall team in 2020. Led by Katie Moore, who feels like she's been here forever. I mean, Katie, I feel like she's been here the last 8 years that I've been here. Only a junior, coming back next year as a senior, second team all-conference honors, and also earned all-South Jersey Group 2 singles. I'm sure she will continue to carry the torch that Coach Seeley has lit and continue to drive this program forward, no doubt, to heights maybe even unprecedented.
Absolutely. The foundation that he continued to build upon is there, and it's set, and there's an expectation in that program, and that expectation will continue.
Moving on, the triumvirate that makes Friday night an event and not just a game, our football cheer and West Deptford marching band. You talk about any group that had things different. You know, Friday nights were not the same. I don't care what anybody says. They weren't the same around here this fall. And the effort and the commitment level of those 3 programs to make it as normal and as special as it could be in the times we are, I've never seen anything like it. Coach Alyssa McClaney with our cheer program and Mr. Tom Kershaw, our band director. I mean, I get to communicate with them often. And you talk about surrounding yourself with first-class people, high-quality people. That's it. I mean, they're 2 of the best in the business. And it was tough. You know, we're giving out passes, only 2 per. You know, we got big groups. We're trying to cut it down, stay under the number, and make senior nights happen. And it was a project that never seemed like any of us were fighting against it. It was, we're going to make this happen some way, somehow. And everybody did it. The marching band, once again, put on an amazing performance this year, praying we can get the home show back, next year that we lost this year, which is a massive part of their season. Obviously, cheer had to do things virtually in terms of the pep rally in front of almost nobody. They performed in front of a parents' crowd only. They only got to come to a couple away games, but they hung in there, thinking they weren't going to be able to come to any games in the beginning. And Coach McClaney could have easily said, you know what, girls, we're going to pack it up. We're not going to be able to have a season. We're not going to get to travel. And never crossed her mind and just kept grinding through it and took advantage of every opportunity she had to put her girls on display. And so very proud to be part of both those programs, and very proud of our football team this year as we battled back from an 0-4 start, led by some amazing senior leadership who just showed us once again when you have great leaders at the top who care about the program before they care about themselves, special things can happen. So.
Just all around, I think you summed up that entire group. But cheer and marching band, if you know West Deptford and you're around West Deptford or from West Deptford, it's the heart and soul, it's the heartbeat, it's the pride, it's the spirit. I mean, to see both of those programs basically on a Monday, it'd be like, hey, coaches, Mr. Kershaw, we don't know if you're going to be around or allowed this week, but there they were, marching band out from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night, making sure they perfect their craft. And sure enough, you look across the track during the day, and there's the cheer team working on things to make sure if they get an opportunity, they're ready to go. And I think that speaks to both of them, but also those students who could have just said, well, Mr. Kershaw, we've got no competitions, we've got nothing. But instead, there's 80 members out there working on the craft, and there's those 30 cheerleaders still working on their routines and coming out whenever they can to be a part of what West Deptford's all about.
And you said this yesterday, but I think one of the defining moments was we added the Pensgrove game late to the schedule on Thanksgiving, the day before Thanksgiving, and it was late, And I remember going to Mr. Kershaw and Coach McClady and saying, we're going to try to add one more game. And I totally understand if, you by that you want to shut it down, because the marching band at that point, we're not going into the playoffs. They'd been there for the, I'm sorry, we didn't know if we were going to have home games in the backstretch, but it was just such a long road for what? You know what I mean? They didn't have competition. They didn't have their normal championship season. And he never hesitated. Like, we'll be there. We're there, man. The drum line will be waiting. And that just tells you the loyalty in this building amongst these people. So very special. And I just want to acknowledge a couple of our football guys that had some postseason honors. The West Jersey did not do all conference teams this year. But Aaron Graber, who in my opinion will go down as one of the best quarterbacks we've ever had in the history of the program. Third team all Group 2, first team all area. Cody Thurston, one of the best overall athletes that we will see during our tenure here. Second team all South Jersey, first team all area, second team all Group 2, and a young sophomore, Brady Clark, who was a kicker and punter for us that earned second team all South Jersey honors. So just shout outs to those guys. Absolutely.
And to see that team battle through again, the football team, the tradition of that football program, to start the year 0-4. And, some of you may think there's not pressure or you don't need to deliver. It's not that big a deal. But the town does care. And to see those kids respond the way they did against arguably one of the toughest schedules we've ever seen, and also being shut down from March through July, where we depend and rely on the weight room and plyometric training. There was never an excuse. They came to work every day. I was blown away at the opportunity to be able to be involved with that program. And no, not because Mr. Morrell is the coach, but just because of the way those kids and those seniors led each other and challenged each other each week to make that season something special.
I'm going to throw some numbers at you. Ready? And you tell me what these numbers represent as we move on. Number 12, number 3, number 4, number 7, number 9. What do those numbers represent to you?
Those are the state-ranked field hockey teams that the West Deptford Eagles lined up against this year.
That's right. Are you kidding me? You talk about murderers row. Are you kidding me? 3, 12, 7, 9, and 4. Haddonfield twice, Eastern, they're ranked in the nation. And not like in the nation, they're ranked like number 2 in the nation.
Yeah.
Camden Catholic, Moorestown, Seneca. I'm so proud of Coach Courtney Stetson in year 2. Absolutely living by the steel sharpens steel motto. She knew she had a very talented group this year and said, we want it, and we're going to go get it. She had every reason to back down, back off, or had opportunities to say, hey, let's revise the schedule a little bit when COVID hit, but it wasn't. There was none of that. It was, this is what we're doing, and as soon as you tell us we can go, we're going to go and get it. So did they have the season that we were used to having around here? No, very few did. But they certainly put on a display of toughness from start to finish. And this is a group of seniors that wanted the challenge of playing the best in the state and took it on head first.
It's just incredible. And I know that's what they talked about. And I know Coach Stetson looked at it and said, Mr. Morrell, pandemic or not, yes, we want these teams. We want to play them. And what an amazing experience for these underclassmen in this program to have felt that kind of intensity, to have felt that type of competition. So my hat's off to the seniors that agreed to play that schedule as well, because you could have taken the easy route. You could have went undefeated and beat everybody by 10 goals. But this was, hey, if this is going to be a different season, well, let's challenge ourselves like never before. And I hope the underclassmen look at that as a way that they want to continue to honor that program and honor those seniors next year and line this thing up and make another run at it.
Star-studded group of seniors. Antonia Gismondi leading the way as she was named Colonial Conference Player of the Year. An amazing honor. I know she didn't see it coming. And so congratulations to Tony. Avery Carino, first team all-conference. Allie Flynn, first team all-conference. Tony, first team all-conference. Third team all-state. First team all-group 2. Her twin sister, Isabella Gismondi, one of the most decorated goalies we've had here. First team all-conference. First team all-group 2, all-area. And sophomore Nat McGivern, Baby Shark, as we call her. First team all-conference. Adriana Palumbo, second team all-conference. Sophomore Kylie Dorsett, second team all-conference. So, a few of those coming back, a lot of those leaving. The senior group itself with Kristen Catando, Carino Eastlack, Allie Flynn, Antonio Gismondi, Isabella Gismondi, Juliana Mikulski, Adriana Palumbo, Nikki Ziegler. They all contributed somehow, some way. And I know Coach Stetson is going to dearly miss that group and everything that they've done for West Deptford field hockey over their 4-year career here. That's a really strong group of seniors.
100%, a really, really special group of seniors. I know a group that you and I have got to spend a lot of time with and challenged each one of them individually and as a group. And to see them shine and fight through adversity is exactly who we expected them to be.
We participate in Victory Road, a number of our teams, Victory Road Leadership, and we do a leadership reaction course, which is basically like that Navy SEAL Buds training stuff before the season begins. And when our field hockey team did it, the CEO of Victory Road said, I've never seen a group of young women operate like this during our LRC. And I actually, we had already finished practice for the day, and I called my wife and said, you need to bring our 3 daughters up right now so that they can see the effort, intensity, and just a straight grind that these older girls were doing, that they could act as benchmarks for my daughters that, I know they're going to look at that and say, I want to be like that. So very proud of that group.
And you know how I feel about that program. It's a program that's been very special to me from the start, and meeting Coach Decker and then seeing a good friend of mine, Coach Stetson, take over. That's a program that'll be here forever. And shout out to your wife for continuing, Mrs. Morrell expanding the program, seeing the youth field hockey program continuing to grow. The number of girls out there, it's a problem. It's a problem for teams in the area because West Deptford field hockey will continue to operate at that level.
Yeah, I want to give props to my wife there as well. She deserves it, and I certainly don't say it enough. But to see how that youth program is taking off, I think there's a totally another level of field hockey coming to South Jersey, and you better look out. Girls soccer. Here we go. Let's wrap it up with the 1-2 punch. Are you kidding me?
The soccer programs.
Oh, it should be. We got more soccer fields on this campus. I used to make fun of Coach Jacob Baskey all the time. We got more soccer fields on this campus. Coach Jen DiLorenzo. Here's her just a few end-of-season awards for Coach DiLorenzo. SouthJersey.com Coach of the Year. Colonial Conference Coach of the Year. West Deptford alum Jennifer Nee, that means formerly, Nee Sanker, so that's her former name. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, I had no idea, but go on.
Come on, Salisbury. And DiLorenzo, just absolutely putting West Deptford girls soccer back on the map. And it's been a long, hard road for her and that staff and those kids, and they absolutely just put their foot to the floor and grinded. The one comment that Coach made was, we played together for 10 weeks without interruption. Considering the circumstances, that is incredible. And it absolutely is. And all they did was do this, just trend upward.
Yep, and I think that sums up what she's all about and what it means. Lacing them up and playing soccer at a high level is what it's about for Coach Jen. And to see the girls then respond to that. I mean, you talk about you started the season 0-5, like the football team where you're looking around where West Deptford doesn't lose a lot.
Yeah.
And you got to stay focused when you can't always see the girls and you're worried about someone getting sick or who's going to be available this week. There was no excuses. There was no excuses. They knew there were some games they let get away early in the year, but they always kept saying, there's the second half and there's this playoff run. And all of a sudden, and like you and I talked about the other day, it was that win at home versus Haddonfield when we're over at practice hearing roars as if there's thousands of people at the game, but there was no one at the game, just our kids out there supporting each other. And it was like, I mean, they were on fire before that, but to carry that into that one and keep that thing rolling was unbelievable.
I'd never been a part of anything like that where I'm literally thousands of feet away and it sounds like there's 5,000 people at a soccer game and it was just our sideline. That was a watershed moment for that program. And I think even for myself, I remember talking to the football team that day about intensity and energy and intrinsic motivation. And that was a pure example of it. And that comes from great leadership at the top. They go into the playoffs as the 10 seed. You know, everybody knows the COVID playoffs were something different, but regardless, they were the 10 seed. They have to go to the 2 seed, Maple Shade. They get down early before they flip the switch and say, wait a second, this is not what we came here to do. And end up winning, I think it was 7-2.
I was just going to say 6-1, 7-2 is in my mind. I mean, just pouring it on.
And then travel, and we have to talk about it. I know Coach doesn't want to talk about it because it's a hard memory, but it's only a loss if you don't learn from it. But that sectional final against Haddonfield at Haddonfield, where we are just going toe to toe in the middle of the ring, round after round, was one of the best games I've seen us play all year. Now, did we? In the end, we lost. But that just like you said about the field hockey program, the youth that's coming back on this girls' soccer team has seen about every scenario that you could see in athletics. So we're veterans now. And I know that not only Coach DiLorenzo, but that entire program has high expectations moving forward to the 2021 year.
If there's a loss you can learn from, it's that one. I watched the live stream of that whole entire game at Haddonfield, but you know, that's why you love that Haddonfield's in our conference. Yeah. That's why you love that rivalry. It's a healthy rivalry. Yep. They appreciate it just as much as we appreciate it. 1-1 in the regular season in terms of wins. And here it is on the biggest stage on the turf. You had them on the ropes and you fell a little short, but at the same time, like you said, those underclassmen, I now know the team coming in this year, they'll never take their foot off the gas.
No.
They'll never back down.
No.
Because they've lived it. They've seen it. They've lived it. There was big moments. And, you know, a really, really amazing year. Congratulations to Coach DiLorenzo. I know there were some honors out there. Alex Holmstrom, second team all-conference. JC Gismondi, sophomore, first team all-conference, 2 more years of that. That's a headache right there. Mm-hmm. Bailey Switansky got some all-state honors and some South Jersey Times all-area third-team honors as well. Another girl who bought into the program and continued to fight every single time she could. So congratulations to the West Deptford girls soccer program. I know you will continue to raise the bar.
And if that wasn't enough, Coach Steve Jacobowski and the 2020 boys soccer team bring home we in a 2-shot here, Mr. K, right here, the first ever 2020 championship cup to the nest. And I remember watching these guys in the preseason and saying, like, there's no star power on this team. There's no stud, there's no guy, there's no dude. But one thing this team did from start to finish was grit and grind. Oh, my goodness. You talk about a scrappy, physical, tough, nonstop, determined, relentless team. And that is the definition of the 2020 team, which will someday be in the Hall of Fame. And that is the exact speech that I will give, and that's exactly what I will say. As Coach Jacobowski said, doing what we do, controlling the controllables, the boys put together a phenomenal start. And I just don't know if I've seen a group come together like this group did during these times. And that's obviously attributed to the leadership of our coaching staff and the respect that this team has for each other.
I think, and I'm gonna go off the end of season report as well. Coach Jake lists a ton of amazing memories during the year, from beating Haddonfield in overtime at home again, where it sounded like 1,000 people were present, winning a South Jersey Group 2 championship in his last hurrah, coming in as a winner and going out as a winner, and having those boys put it all on the line. But he said, what I will remember the most about the 2020 season will be this group of young men that banded together to achieve the unthinkable. right? You could have just packed it in. It wasn't easy. You didn't know what you were going to have, and you continued to put something together. And I think it showed how much our players who did know this was going to be Coach Jake's last run toward the end, how much they cared about what he gave them. And the best way they could say thank you was to fight to the last minute. And boy, did they fight and come out on top, and they deserved it.
Yeah, that team was the epitome of a Steve Jacobowski coach team. And that was, they embodied what he was all about and is all about. And he'll do great things in Gloucester City. We wish him the best of luck as the director of curriculum for their math and science departments. And we're very proud of him as he moves up the ladder there in the administration ranks. Team led by Nate Schulte's first team all-conference. Justin McCollum, first team all-conference. What a player. I mean, that's a Justin McCollum, man. Cool. I'm really, really proud of that kid. Shane Byrne coming back next year, as is Nate, first team all-conference. Danny Varela coming back next year, first team all-conference. And Ryan McCormick, a senior, finishing with second team all-conference honors. So a lot of good coming back. I know Nate and Shane were in the weight room this morning, and they're licking their chops at getting ready for 2021. So that's just an unbelievable run. And for our middle school listeners as well, know that, yes, we will miss Mr. Jake, which you know him as well, but we will continue to build on that program. You know Mr. Jake's going to share his wealth of knowledge as we move forward in that program, but just know that the senior leadership and the group that's coming back for that boys soccer program, we are not going anywhere, and it'll be a great way to honor Coach Jake as we continue to battle game in and game out. So as we wrap up, Mr. Pants, what a fall, what a fall. When we come back for EP number 2, we will start diving into basketball and bowling. And February 1st, we have swimming, diving, winter track kicking off, and then wrestling gets a month to itself in March. So we'll have plenty of stuff to cover in depth as we move forward. You know, parting shots as we wrap up here. I just want to say to all of our students that are listening, look, everybody gets it. We are all going through this together. I feel like a little deja vu saying this from the basement about 6 months ago. We get it. Things are hard. It's the winter time, so it's dark when you wake up, and it's dark for long periods of the day. And in a lot of ways, life seems a little bit dark right now. But I promise there is light at the end of the tunnel. The key is we all have a choice to make, right? Are we going to, A, give in to this darkness, quote unquote, and the hard times, you know, the overwhelming feeling with the academics and being virtual or being hybrid or dealing with family members or yourselves who are sick. All these things are daily things that we have to make a choice and decision on how we're going to handle. But I promise there's light at the end of the tunnel. Eventually, we're going to be out of this sooner than you think. And we're going to be looking back, and you're either going to say, hey, man, I just remember grinding through that and doing everything. I got better. There were silver linings all throughout that time. And maybe the silver lining was having to deal with a whole lot of hard stuff, but I dealt with it, and I'm a better person for it. Or you're going to look back and say, I can't believe I wasted that entire year of my life. I can't believe I did nothing when I could have done something. Now, some people can do more than others. Some people have more restrictions than others, but there's always a way to attack it. And so there are choices to be made right now. And we're here to help you make the right ones. And we're here to help you continue to get through this and to finish through this as we come back to some sort of normalcy. And we're supposed to be hybrid starting next week, so it'll be great, hopefully, to see some faces again in the room. But make the right choice. Find a way to make the right choice. Absolutely. And I think to all of our student listeners and even adult listeners, you're not alone, and no, you're not alone. All right. There's days where you may feel like you don't want to get out of bed, or you don't want to do this, or it can't be this same routine, or I can't sit on the computer anymore, but you can. All right. You're allowed to feel those things, but know that you're not feeling them alone. We're feeling them as a whole. And if we continue to come together during this, well, I mean, imagine what we can achieve, what we can overcome, and what we're going to bring to the West Deptford community by continuing to understand that we are all in this together, and we will fight through it, and we will all be better because of it. And we're here for you guys. So, let us know. You can send us emails. We'll throw our emails up here for you. If you would like to start doing a question of the day or question of the session, where we answer some questions from our listeners and viewers. And we're going to keep bringing the juice one episode at a time. We can't wait. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next time.